Hello, and welcome to another edition of Coffee Talk with immigration attorney Brian D. Lerner. In this particular episode, I would like to talk about why, if you are an immigrant, you should consider doing estate planning after you get the green card or residency and or after you become a U.S. citizen. Anybody who has gone through the immigration system knows that it takes years of fighting in order to make it happen. I mean, even if it only took you 6 to 8 months to file and become a U.S. citizen, first you had to file all the paperwork to become a lawful permanent residency. And as many of you know who have been through the process, sometimes you had to go through deportation proceedings, sometimes you might have to gone through an appeal to the Board of Immigration Appeals and maybe done motions to reopen or waited years for the visa number. Maybe you worked years on a perm, in order to get the green card through employment and did the I-140 and adjustment. I mean, it's a lot of work and it's a lot of time. And what happens is after you are done with all of that, a lot of immigrants will say, okay, I'm in the United States now. I'm safe. I'm here legally. There's nothing more that I need to do, and then go to the beach and relax. Okay. There certainly is time to go to the beach and relax, but what you have to realize is that this is the first major part, getting here legally and being able to stay here without fear, that you're going to be deported or that you have to go back at a certain time. But then once you work so hard, you want to be able to protect your spouse, your children, in case you become either incapacitated or you die. Same goes for your spouse. The last thing that you want to happen is to make it so that your children might be left with a situation where nobody knows what's to go to them. Nobody has protected them in any manner as far as devising funds for their support, and nobody has been appointed, for example, as a guardian should you and your spouse die before they become 18 or both become incapacitated. You have to protect them, and not just that, but if you do become incapacitated, you need to have a healthcare power of attorney. You need to have, or sorry, you need to have healthcare directives, okay, which specify what you want done by whom in case you are incapacitated. You need to have a durable power of attorney to have somebody else take care of your financial matters when you're incapacitated. Then you need to have, where your house is going to go and where your bank accounts and your jewelry. And then what happens if you are married, for example, and your spouse gets married to somebody else after you die, and you wanted to protect your kids. What happens with their educational funds, to make sure that that they're going to end up going to college? What happens to the IRAs and all of the accounts that you've worked so hard for? I mean, I could go on and on with what's going to happen to all of these matters, but if you do the estate planning after you become legal, then you will have real peace of mind. And part of the American dream is making sure it doesn't all disappear once you become incapacitated or die. What is the use of working all those years to come here from another country to get sometimes a non-immigrant working visa, to apply for years, go through the green card process, then apply another few years to go through citizenship, to have it all disappear if you get in a car accident tomorrow, okay, or when you get older. You have worked very hard both to come here and stay here legally, and then of course you've worked very hard in your job. Your spouse has most likely worked hard, and you want to protect them, okay, and you want your wishes to be followed. It's not just protecting your family and your assets, but it's making sure that what you want happens. If you don't do estate planning, it's going to go to the state of California, okay, and it's going to go through probate, and they have what's called intestate succession, which is essentially California's estate plan, and they say they're going to devise so and so to this person, so and so to that person, and you might have an uncle or an aunt or a brother or somebody you have no contact with and don't want to have contact with, who ends up getting half your estate. You might have it go to children of a mixed marriage, from another spouse, and you might have it go to them which you never wanted. You might have everything you wanted to go to your children. They might end up seeing very little. When you're if you become incapacitated, you might end up being put on life support for 13 years when what you really wanted was, to tell your spouse to make the decision when to let you go, which they can't follow, they being the doctors, unless there's legal documentation giving your spouse the right to do this. So the estate planning is not for the wealthy. It's not for the rich. It's not for someone who owns, $120 million. There's even provisions for estate planning. If all of your assets are below $150,000, there's ways of essentially expediting what you want in such a manner that it still goes everywhere you want, but it's done properly. Okay, and if you take care of it now, if you do what you need to now, for example, you come through my firm, we prepare, the last will and testament, pour over will, we prepare the living trust. The reason it's a living trust is you're living while the trust exists. We'll prepare all the provisions to follow your directions, to minimize taxes, to maximize what gets distributed to whom. If you, for example, die first, what goes to your spouse and then ultimately to your children, we'll analyze it to see if we can avoid estate taxes. All kinds of things can happen, but most importantly, at the present time, you will have a peace of mind that if something happens to you, you will be taken care of. Your family will be taken care of. Your decisions and your wishes will be honored and followed. People you don't want to have to deal with, you won't have to. It won't become public record. There's just all kinds of benefits to it. I mean, I guarantee you that, for example, people who get in car accidents and end up in the hospital unable to speak, none of them thought that it would happen either. Okay, so while you are able, while you are physically fit, even while you are young, do what you have to do to get the estate planning done. You can call my firm. We'll give you a free consultation, get it all done. When it's all said and done, you'll have a nice binder with everything you wanted, and we'll go from there. Okay, more on the coming videos.